You are now listening to Just Another Year Chicago with your host, Nick Rohde. Hello everyone and welcome back to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Rohde and today we will be previewing the Portland Trailblazers at the Chicago Bulls. But before we begin, please remember to hit that subscribe button, comment your thoughts on this video, and follow me on Twitter at ChicagoNick. So to start, the 9-8 Portland Trailblazers come to the Windy City to take on the Chicago Bulls at the United Center. The Bulls are currently sitting at 7-10 and are sadly riding a 2-game losing streak ever since losing Wendall Carter Jr. To start the podcast, we're going to talk about Bulls injuries, and the big one is Wendall Carter Jr. Wendall Carter Jr. Suffered a quad injury within the last few weeks and has been trying to play with it and eventually just said, I can't do this anymore. So they're sitting him out for the next 4 weeks, watching that quad, making sure that he heals correctly. So it's a minimum of 4 weeks. And obviously NBA players and all humans all the time especially NBA players, use their legs pretty often. I see this injury going on for at least 5 or 6 weeks just because he's a big man. If he comes back early, that kind of scares me because you never want to rush an injury, especially a leg injury like that. So unfortunately, it says 4. I think it's 5 or 6 just to be realistic and safe. So the Bulls either need to somehow acquire a center that's going to be able to cover for them, or Daniel Gafford's really going to have to step up over the next couple weeks. It's been a huge blow to this team, going off of that. It's been a huge blow to this team that Wendall Carter Jr. has been playing, and a lot of people were criticizing him. He was missing big shots. He wasn't, progressing the way we wanted him to, but he was a strong defender and a great rebounder for the Bulls, and that's something that's really missing right now, especially that super big man presence. Daniel Gafford is a large human being. All the Chicago Bulls are. I mean, I am not a big guy, by no means. I could not play on an NBA floor right now. But these guys are big, and Daniel Gafford's big, but there's even bigger than Daniel Gafford. When you have guys like Joel Embiid, you have Anthony Davis, you just have these, Kevin Durant, you just have these huge guys that go up and down the court, and you need someone who can cover them. Daniel Gafford is a second-year player. He's, pretty skinny, needs a little bit more meat on his bones. I love the guy, though. I love the energy that he brings. Reminds me of, that super late steal of Taj Gibson that the Bulls had. I really like Daniel Gafford. I'm a huge fan of him. I hope nothing but success for him. But he needs help because he's tired. He can't take on these guys by himself the whole game, and that's something that the Bulls are missing. So it's a bigger blow than we thought with Wendall Carter Jr., and Bulls fans should start realizing that he is a valuable asset to the team. He is good trade. He is a great trade asset, no doubt. If the Bulls wanted to go out and get, a veteran player, he's got a lot of upside still. He's young, he's big, but we'll have to see moving forward exactly what the Bulls do to monitor his injury. Like said before, they're on a 2-game losing streak, and though both those losing streaks have been huge with turnovers and missed open shots. I mean, I cannot tell you, watching the LA Lakers game and the Boston Celtics game, the last 2 games the Bulls have had, how many open shots they've missed. I mean, it's insane. It is actually insane how many open shots they've missed. And the Bulls have really good shooters. I mean, Zach LaVine cannot carry this team by himself. But players like Coby White, Otto Porter Jr. Are not stepping up for this team. And they need that. Patrick Williams, I give him credit because he's 19 years old, playing against some of the best players in the league right now. The Bulls have had a very interesting schedule, playing guys like LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Kemba Walker, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, super good guys. And Patrick Williams has been all over the floor doing the best he can, considering he's got Kawhi-like hands, Kawhi-like defense, and he's a big kid. And he's only 1 year in. Just imagine how big he's going to be in 2 years. So you can't just put all the pressure on the rookie to do everything. But, he has missed some pretty open shots, but give him credit. But guys like Coby White can't be missing big shots. You can't. You've been in the league now you've been in for a year, fine. I mean, not discrediting, you're still a young player. But, wide open shots. And you're a point guard. You are a point guard. It's a point guard league now. You should be able to hit those shots. So I love Coby White. Coby White, I love you. If you ever see this video, I am not hating by any means. I'm just, you got to hit those shots. It's not hating. It's constructive criticism. Let's take that. But, yeah, so, big missed open shot. And it's not just Coby White. It's Otto Porter Jr. It's Jarrett Temple. It's guys who should be making these buckets. Again, Zach LaVine cannot do it by himself. Thaddeus Young had an awesome game. He flirted with a triple-double in his last game. He really stepped up. He was that next man that needed to step up for the Chicago Bulls. Unfortunately, they couldn't pull out against the Boston Celtics because the Celtics, I think, went on a 17-0 run to start the second half, and the Bulls could just never recover from it. They were within 6 at one point, and they just couldn't recover. So, can't do that. But, again, the Bulls take on the Portland Trailblazers, going on to that. And the Bulls beat the Trailblazers last time. Big game by Coby White. So can Coby White, rebound this game, no pun intended, get the rebounds, hit the big shots to help put him back on track for this season, help the Bulls get back in the win column? I sure hope so. I mean, I still think Coby White's the point guard of the league in 3 years. That's just me. A biased Bulls fan, fine. But Coby White is a good player. So let's move on to, so again, Bulls play the Trailblazers. Another pretty tough team when you got Damian Lillard on the other side of the ball. The Trailblazers are 9-8 though. They've had their struggles this year. The Trailblazers are a good team, but usually they're a little bit better than just flirting above one game above 500. They are potentially going to be missing Derek Jones Jr. and Robert Covington, which that's big for the Bulls. So I never wish injury amongst players, but if they're out, that's a big advantage for the Bulls. So if they are out, take advantage of that. Dame's still in there though, so Zach's going to be on Dame the whole game. Or Coby White will be on Dame, so more to come on that. But what the Bulls need to do to win tonight, less turnovers. You cannot give up 30 points a game off turnovers. That's insane. That is absolutely absurd how many points you've given up off turnovers. That can't happen. Cut that in half, Bulls would have won at least another 2 games this year. Nothing much to say about that, but and then they have to hit those open shots. I said this earlier, but the Bulls have missed so many open shots this year. There's not much you can say to that, but just hit them. Just hit your open shots and you're going to win games. The whole game of basketball is scoring buckets. So I think that the Bulls tonight can beat the Trailblazers if they play the Trailblazers like they did last time. Everyone's scoring, Coby White's leading the team, and good defense. You don't have Wendall Carter Jr., just going to have to deal with it. Going to have to make up for the lost teammate, next man up. So, I think tonight's going to be a fun game. Tonight's going to be a fun game. I am recording this on Friday, by the way. So, speaking in the future. So, stuff could happen after this recording. But, hopefully more to come on that. So, my prediction for the Bulls game tonight, I'm thinking that it's going to be a high score. I think it's going to be 115 to 107 Bulls. This team is hungry. They need to come out and score, and I think that's what's going to happen. So, with that, that's the conclusion of this episode. Hopefully the Bulls win tonight. Looking forward to it. We'll be talking more on Sunday night about the wrap-up of the week, more on the Bears, as the Bears are hopefully going to do more with Deshaun Watson, more on the Cubs, just more on Chicago sports as a whole. So Sunday weekly analysis will be up. So stay tuned for tomorrow. But again, before you leave this episode, please remember to hit that subscribe button, comment on this video, and follow me on Twitter @ChicagoNick. Thanks for listening in, and go Bulls.